Hey Year 12s. One of the 3 different forms of responses you can use for context is a persuasive essay. If you're at all confused about what the task of context is, stop, go and watch our video on what context is, then come back to this. In this video, I'm going to be explaining what the strengths and weaknesses of persuasive writing are and some quick tips and tricks to improve your work. Firstly, why would you choose to write a persuasive piece? You get to make an argument. This means you get to utilize all of your skills from language analysis to try and persuade someone of what you have to say. Flexibility. Like expository writing, there is no set structure for persuasive writing, so it can be twisted to suit you and any prompt. Applicability to criteria. It is easy to tick the boxes of context writing with persuasive writing if you maintain a creative style with strong textual and real-world examples. Creativity. You get to show off your creativity, a key component of context writing, and do something unexpected. For example, you could adopt a persona performing a speech or writing a letter while getting your point across. Familiarity. If you've ever written an expository essay, persuasive writing is not going to catch you off guard. All you have to do is turn your exploration of the topic into persuasion on the topic. It is important to note that, like all forms of writing for context, persuasive writing does have a couple of drawbacks as well. Oversimplifying the prompt. Sometimes in the rush to persuade the assessor of something, it can be easy to neglect the complexity of the prompt. It's important that you demonstrate your knowledge of what is being asked rather than simply your ability to choose an argument and stick to it doggedly. Awkward inclusion of the text. Sometimes when you get creative with a persuasive text, you can be on a real roll and then realize you haven't included the text. It can feel a little awkward to suddenly start talking about a film or a movie when you're taking on the persona of someone other than a VCE student. Don't let this deter you though. I have some tips and tricks to overcome these difficulties. Explore all aspects of the prompt. Try to stretch the prompt out in a few different directions. Ask yourself questions. What does this prompt mean? What are the consequences of that statement? Is there a way that the prompt is true or false? Asking yourself all of this will make sure that you don't choose a narrow argument that doesn't show off your knowledge. Use external examples. Show the assessor that you've thought broadly about context by including examples you've learned from the wider world. Don't use inappropriate examples. Make sure you use examples that your assessor would want to read about. For example, stories about parties and breakups with boyfriends tend to come off as too limited for context writing. Keep in mind that your assessor is older and reads a lot of these essays, so give them something different and well-researched. Incorporate arguments or morals from the text. You don't have to be explicit with your text inclusion. Instead, you can draw on ideas and examples that work more fluidly into your piece. Practice text inclusion. I suggest trying out a few different ways of working the text into your piece and asking your teacher which works best so you have a style ready for SACs and the exam. Use persuasive techniques. Make sure you try and persuade the reader of something using all that colourful language you've analysed to death in language analysis. Don't argue blind. Make sure you understand the other side of the argument and how else the prompt could be interpreted. Include this understanding by discussing those angles within your piece. Lastly, let's speak briefly about structuring a persuasive piece. You can structure it in exactly the same way as an expository essay, effectively creating a hybrid of the 2 types of writing. To see what that structure can look like, make sure to check out our video on expository essays. Alternatively, you can do something creative with your structure. This can include taking on a persona or a voice different from your own. From there, you can write something like a speech, an opinion piece, or a letter. You can even get more creative if you want. I've seen a student write a transcript of a debate between 2 people very successfully because it allowed them to explore both arguments. I hope this video has given you the basic overview of persuasive writing. Make sure to check out our videos on expository and creative writing, as well as all the videos on your specific context and texts. Thanks for watching, and happy writing.